Alright, this video will focus on specific care requirements of just a fraction of the animals that were on the Ark, and why this makes the story impossible. Many animals require specific food, lighting, and humidity to survive. Many animals would be impossible to provide for on the Ark. The inside of the Ark would likely be dimly lit, fairly humid, and probably fairly warm. This is a good environment for some species, but is fatal to others, especially over a period of a year. Reptiles require UVB lighting to metabolize calcium. In the dim Ark, the light would not reach them in a significant amount. Many of the reptiles would then develop metabolic bone disease and die. Many desert species of reptiles, such as the geometric and tent tortoises of Africa, require low humidities. With the Ark being somewhat humid from water, feces, and respiration, these tortoises would develop respiratory infections and likely die. On the other hand, some species require incredibly high levels of humidity. Day geckos and most chameleon species are good examples. Without high humidity, these animals rapidly desiccate and develop respiratory infections. Dealing with some venomous snake species is incredibly difficult. Not only is it dangerous, but many venomous snakes have odd care requirements. King cobras eat other snakes almost exclusively, as do lampreys. These snakes would be hard to care for, as the Bible makes no mention of disposable feeder snakes for the king cobra pair. Mambas have very high metabolisms and need to be fed a bird or a mouse a week or even twice a week. These snakes are very agile and fast, so it is also not clear how Noah would have contained or fed them. Actually owns a mamba. You need one of these, a snake hook, and they're not easy to deal with. Gaboon vipers often need to be guided to their water dish in captivity. I experienced this firsthand, as I used to also own a gaboon viper. I had to hook it and place it in its water dish every few days, or it would simply have dehydrated and died. Noah would likely have not known to do that, and if he had known, he wouldn't have done it because he wouldn't have been able to. With about 500 venomous snake species in the world, Noah would have had a very dangerous job, and he would have had modern tools to do anything with them with. Many amphibians are difficult to care for by modern standards. Aquatic amphibians cannot be left in the ocean, as the salt would kill them quickly. This poses a problem on the Ark, as aquatic amphibians require pristine filtered water. The water quality would have gone bad in a week on the Ark without modern filtration. The Texas blind cave salamanders, hellbenders, Chinese giant salamanders, and axolotls would all have been lost. Land-dwelling amphibians wouldn't fare much better. Neotropical salamanders are almost impossible to keep in captivity, with most dying within a few months. These salamanders of the genus Politicolosa number over 100 species. Keeping over 200 Politicolosa salamanders alive with the correct temperature and humidity and live food would be a daunting task, even by modern standards. The previously mentioned Texas blind cave salamander would die within days of the Ark, being on the Ark, because it would have been far too warm. And if that didn't kill them, then poor water quality and incorrect pH would kill them the next week. Caecilians, a worm-like amphibian, are notoriously hard to keep alive in captivity. The terrestrial species almost always die within months. The aquatic species do better, but that's only because of modern water filtration. I own both land and aquatic caecilians, and I can tell you that Noah could not have cared for these. They're just too hard to care for. Bats would be a difficult group to care for as well, with about 1,400 species. Almost 200 bat species are fruit bats, with the other 1,200 being largely insectivores. Providing fruit for 400 individual bats and insects for 2,400 more would simply not be possible. Shrews are another impossible group to care for. With about 300 species, Noah would need to provide insects for 600 individuals daily, or many times daily, as shrews eat half their weight in a day, as their metabolism is incredibly high. Odds are the shrews would have starved to death on the Ark. Some little-known animals, such as the bamboo lemur and greater glider, eat only one food item. Bamboo lemurs of Madagascar only eat bamboo, while the greater glider of Australia eats only eucalyptus. Providing fresh bamboo and eucalyptus for a year is simply impossible. More well-known food specialists are the koala and the giant panda. Koalas eat fresh eucalyptus almost exclusively, and pandas eat fresh bamboo exclusively. The pandas would need about 8,000 pounds of bamboo over the course of the journey. Over 1,400 pounds of eucalyptus would be needed for the koalas. As it needs to be fresh, it would have had to have been grown on the ark, which would have taken up the whole ship. Some mammal species simply don't survive in captivity. These include the pangolin, Indri lemur, and pink fairy armadillo. Specific food requirements and stress cause these species to die quickly in captivity. Noah and his family would have only been able to provide rudimentary wooden enclosures on the ark, not suitable for most of the world's species. No divine intervention could save such creatures from inevitable death in substandard conditions as conditions on a wooden boat. But the people that wrote the story couldn't have known that at the time. I didn't even take dinosaurs into account because the story is already wacky enough as it is. And a future video will deal with invertebrates on the ark, which present whole new problems.